Hi Yoga Breeze community, thank you for being here at whatever time of day you're choosing to practice. I wanted to share a quote from Rumi on dukkha, or bad space. We look at dukkha oftentimes as suffering or wanting things to be different than they are. And Rumi says, "A dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." I'd say this is a pretty difficult practice, greeting some of those things: dark thoughts, shame, malice, frustration, irritation, you name it, those things that create heaviness or a dark space within us. So how do we deal with that in this time and any time? Well, each evening, my daughter Giselle and I do a meditation. And one of the meditations that we do, we actually do two, but the second one is called Soothing Uncomfortable Feelings. And the purpose of this meditation is recognizing that although all of those emotions, all emotions have a place and we have an opportunity to learn from them, in the midst of those emotions isn't necessarily the time to consider, time to be taught by what that emotion is trying to teach us. So sometimes it's helpful to set them aside. When the energy and the rawness of that emotion has passed, then we can go back and look and consider what they have to teach us about ourselves, things that we want to stay the same and things that we want to change. So the opportunity or the invitation for practice this morning is to be aware of the emotion, the thought that arises throughout practice, and give ourselves the opportunity to set them aside just for this time in practice. And if it's something that is reoccurring or something that you feel deserves deeper investigation, then in a time when the emotion isn't quite as raw or intense, then consider picking it up, evaluating, looking at it as an opportunity to grow as opposed to an opportunity to judge. So in order to keep ourselves from going into those spaces of dukkha, we'll keep our attention focused on our breath as well as sensation in the body, using breath to lessen sensation or to provide the energy needed to move through sensation. So we're going to start this practice on our backs using props if you have them. If you have a blanket or a beach towel, then I'll invite you to open it up, and we're going to roll this to find a pretty small, pretty narrow yoga roll. If it has a seam, we'll place it towards the bottom so that it doesn't compromise our back at all. We want it towards the back third of the mat. Our blocks will just move off to the front of the mat for use at another time. So then we'll come to sit in front of that roll and just line up the shoulder tips with the very center of the roll. So as you come down, the tops of the shoulders, the armpits, will be above the blanket towards the back of your mat. We can release the shoulders, the head to the earth. This shouldn't be overtly comfortable, but you should be able to take a deep breath. If you can't take a deep breath, then we'll roll to the side, press ourselves up, and unroll the blanket. Then the arms will move out to the side, palms face up, if that works in your shoulders. If not, then you can let one hand rest on the belly, one hand rest on the heart. Then this is pretty intense for a lot of us in the low back body. Feet can be planted on the floor, knees drop in. Soles of the feet can come together and knees open wide. Or if it's available, to help prep the body for our practice this morning, we'll extend both legs towards the front of the mat. There's some activity to keep the toes up towards the ceiling, and then we do our best to relax into the shape. Eyes close, and as the lips close, we begin to bring our attention to the breath. Feel the belly, feel the ribs, feel the chest expand on the inhale. Feel that brief pause at the top, and then feel the chest, the ribs, the belly descend on the exhale. Feel a brief pause at the bottom, and the breath begins again. And despite what we came to our mat with in the mind, in the emotional body, We set that to the side and let our attention rest on the movement of breath in an effort to find physical sukha, physical good space, light space, replacing dukkha, dark space. As we breathe here for several more inhales and exhales, consciously noticing where there are spaces in the body where there's tension, hidden tension in the jaw, in the muscles of the face, perhaps in the shoulders, fingers and toes. With each exhale, let some of that tension, that gripping go. And as you take your next exhale, bend into both knees, bringing the feet flat on the floor if they're not there already. We'll roll over to one side, coming up onto the forearm, just so we can slide that blanket roll out from underneath the body. And then once the mat space is clear, we'll release back down. This time, let's take the feet wide, drop the knees in, bring the right hand to rest at the belly, the left hand to rest at the heart, and let the legs relax in towards one another. And take a gentle sigh, breathing in through the nose, opening the mouth and allowing gravity, the weight of the body, to find some neutrality in the spine. And on your next exhale, let's release the hands from the body. We'll heel toe the feet in towards one another, stopping so they're about a fist width distance apart. If you're not sure, you can just reach down and feel your heels should be about in line with the sits bones at the base of the pelvis. Then the hands will plant on either side of the body, fingers are spread. Gently draw the shoulder blades together to feel the chest begin to puff up. Feel a gentle engagement of the belly so the tailbone tucks under. We want to keep that. Begin to press down and forward into the heel, into the big toe. Toes are light. And then we'll lift the pelvis off of the mat, coming into a low bridge pose. Take a breath in. See if you can press the hip creases just a little higher. Feel the chest roll towards the chin. And then slowly on an exhale, release back down. We're going to move with breath. As you inhale, the pelvis will lift, arms press, feet press. And then as you exhale, slowly roll back down. You can rest on the mat for a beat or hover above the mat. And then as you inhale again, pelvis lifts, hip creases high. And as you exhale, slowly release back down. Moving with the breath so it's nice and slow, using the length of the inhale to lift the pelvis. Keep pressing into heel, big toe mound, but toes are light. Inner thighs towards one another. And then exhale, slowly release back down. We'll take one more round, inhaling to lift, hands, shoulders, feet, back of the head presses. And then as you exhale, slowly release back down. Once the sacrum comes to the mat, let's draw both knees in, give ourselves a gentle hug, and take some motion, some movement with the knees, massaging around the low back body. And as you come back to stillness at center, release the left foot to the floor, give the right knee a gentle tug in, and then interlace the hands behind the thigh. We'll extend the right leg high and just take a couple point and flex, rolling of the ankle, just feeling some sensation down the leg. And then begin to press the back of the leg into the hands. Keep the shoulders soft. Press out through the heel, through the ball of the foot. Keep everything exactly the same, just point the foot and feel the muscles of the legs engage. And then flex the foot, peel the toes back towards the shin. Notice any difference as we engage the leg. Take a full breath in, and then as you breathe out, we'll lift the shoulders, lift the head, keep the neck nice and long. Stay here or extend the arms forward towards the front of the room. Use that left foot planting to help lift the chest, lift the head just a little bit higher. Take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, we'll slowly release the shoulders, release the head, and release the right foot to the mat. We'll take that to the second side, draw the left knee in, give it a little tug, and then interlace the hands behind the thigh. As we extend the left leg high, again, take just a few breaths, point and flex the foot, roll the ankle. Just feel some motion in that joint and the residual experience down the leg. And then as we come back through center, press out through the heel, through the ball of the foot, press the back of the leg into the hands, feel the shoulders soft. Keep a gentle engagement in the belly and just point the foot. Engage the muscles of the legs, feel what that feels like in the leg, and then reflex. Draw the toes back towards the shin, press the heel away, leg still stays strong. Again, belly tones towards the spine, take an inhale. As you exhale, lift the shoulders, lift the head, hands can reach forward or stay connected to the back of the leg. Right leg is actively pushing down, and with that strength, we can lift the torso just a little higher. Keep reaching through the left heel, through the ball of the foot. Take one more inhale, lift to the highest height. And then as you exhale, slowly release the shoulders, release the head, release the foot to the floor. Let's draw both knees in, take them wide towards the armpits. Hands on the front of the shins or the backs of the legs, maybe just a little bit of movement from side to side. And then we'll come back to stillness at center and release the feet to the floor once again. Hands come down by the side, so the feet are again about that fist width distance apart. Arms are active as we press into the palms. Belly gently engaged, and as you inhale, lift the pelvis up. So we're going to keep the pelvis lifted here. So really begin to tuck the shoulders underneath the body. Hands can stay pressing, or we can add robot arms to give yourself a little help. We can weave the thumbs underneath the pelvis so they move in, thumbs move in towards the sacrum, and fingers wrap around the hips. This helps to support the pelvis in our next experience, or to make it a little more difficult, fingers high or even hands on the floor. From here, let's draw the right knee in towards the body, extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. We'll take a breath in, and then as we breathe out, just slowly lower the pelvis down towards the mat. As you inhale, press into the left foot, reach the right foot high, and as you exhale, slowly release back down. Another time, inhale, lift. Exhale, slowly release, hovering or resting. Last time, inhale, lift. As you exhale, release the right foot to the mat. Take a breath in, lift the pelvis, readjust the shoulders, arms are strong, hands supporting, pressing, or reaching high. Belly stays strong, right foot stays down. Draw the left knee in, and then extend the foot up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, slowly lower down towards the mat. And as you inhale, we lift up, and as you exhale, slowly release back down. Another time, inhale, we lift. Exhale, slowly lower. Last time, inhale, lift. As you exhale, left foot comes to the mat. Take a full breath in, lift the pelvis. And then as you exhale, untuck the shoulders and slowly lower back down onto the mat. Let's walk the feet wide, drop the knees in. And once more, right hand to the belly, left hand to the heart. Close the eyes. Take a moment. Acknowledge, notice what arises emotionally, mentally. And again, this is an opportunity to recognize at a later date it might be something we want to investigate. Right now is not the time. So we'll bring attention to the movement of the breath. Feel belly, ribs, and chest expand as we breathe in, and then feel them soften, descend as we breathe out. Let's take one more deep inhale. As you exhale, release the arms out to the side, shoulder height. We'll move the knees apart but keep the feet wide. We'll just release the low back in a gentle twist. Take a full inhale. As you exhale, drop the knees over to the left. Take a full breath in with the knees to the left. And then as you exhale, belly to spine, draw the knees right back up through center. Pause for a breath in at center. And as you exhale, knees release over to the right. Pause for a full breath in. And then as you exhale, belly to spine, draw the knees right back up towards the ceiling. Breath in here, one more round. As you exhale, drop the knees over to the left. A full inhale. And then as you exhale, belly to spine, knees move right back up towards the ceiling. Take a full inhale. And then exhaling, knees release over to the right. Full breath in with the knees to the right. And then as you exhale, draw the knees right back up towards the ceiling. Heel toe the feet in, draw the knees in, hands to the backs of the thighs or the front of the shins. Draw chin to chest, forehead to knees. Make a tight little ball as you draw the shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll roll to the right side. We'll gently press ourselves up and around. We're going to come to a tabletop position. And we will be here for a little bit of time. So if you have sensitivity in the knees, let's go ahead and take a blanket or your towel across the center of the mat. As we take this shape, we'll find wrists under shoulders, knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet gently pressed, and the belly's nice and strong. Move through a couple rounds of Chaturanga. Inhaling, sits bones lift, belly drops, heart glides, crown lifts, and then as you exhale, tuck the tailbone round into the spine, really press the earth away. Feel the back of the heart space lift high. Continue with 3 more rounds. Inhaling, as sits bones lift, the belly will drop, slide the heart forward, shoulders away from the ears, crown lifts. And then exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round into the spine, press the earth away, draw the chin to the chest. 2 more rounds moving with your breath. Inhaling, we'll stretch through the front of the body. And exhaling, we'll stretch through the back. And then after that final round, let's come back to a neutral spine at center. Feeling the belly strong, feeling the back of the heart space lift. Arms are strong, gaze is slightly forward and down. On your inhale, extend the right leg back behind. Toes will press into the floor. Just feel the strength of the leg. And then we'll float the right foot up towards hip height. Take a quick peek. Make sure toes are down slightly in. Pull the left hip back. And then just bend into the knee so the sole of the foot moves up towards the ceiling. Then as you exhale, just lift the sole of the foot a little bit higher. Hold and breathe. Feel left hip draw back. Right knee moves towards the midline. Keep lifting up through the sole of the foot. If it doesn't feel like you're doing much, see if you can lift the foot just a little bit higher. You should definitely feel something in the glute. Take 1 more inhale, lift. Then as you exhale, straighten back into the leg, toes down slightly in. Belly is strong. And from here, just reach the left arm forward towards the front of the room. Palm faces the midline, pinky finger lifted, thumb out. Soften the shoulder away from the ear. Keep the gaze slightly forward to test the balance. And then as you inhale, can you reach a little farther and then lift a little higher? 1 more breath in. As you breathe out, release just the hand to the floor. We'll keep the foot lifted. We're going to take a modified version of Chaturanga here. So the foot can stay lifted or you can release the knee to the mat. In either case, gaze comes forward. Elbows go straight back as if we're trying to touch the rib cage and draw the heart towards the front of the mat. Take a breath in at the bottom and exhale, we press right back up. Let's release the right knee down to the mat. Bring big toes together, separate the knees nice and wide, and press the hips back towards the heels. If the forehead doesn't come easily to the floor, a block underneath either one is perfect. Otherwise, we release the head. Let's start by inching the fingers forward and then relaxing the forearms down. Breathe into the belly, the ribs, the chest, even here. And feel the exhale soften and release some of those hidden tension places. Maybe it's the feet, the top of the ankles here. Some gripping in the hips or holding in the belly. Up, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Relaxing the fingers and the muscles of the face. And consciously releasing tension to create lightness, space, good space in Sukha. As you take your next inhale, we'll come back up to our tabletop position. Again, wrists under shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're powering through the arms so the back of the heart space lifts and we draw the shoulders away from the ears. Belly engages, and then we'll extend the left foot back behind. Again, start with the toes on the floor so we can feel pressing back through the heel, feel the muscles of the legs engage, and feel the right hip draw back. Keep toning the belly in and just float the left foot up towards hip height. Give it a little peek, make sure toes are down and slightly in. As we pull the right hip back, bend into the left knee, sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. And then we just lift the sole of the foot high. Notice there's a tendency to open the leg up. Keep drawing outer hip down, pull the outer right hip back. Belly is strong, keep lifting through the heel. See how high you can get the heel, the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Take one more breath in to lift. As you exhale, straighten back into the leg. Still peeling right hip back, outer left hip down. On your inhale, right arm reaches forward. And as we press into the earth, feel the whole body lift away. Reach from finger to heel. And then can you lift the arm, lift the leg just a little bit more. One more breath in. And then as you breathe out, release the right hand to the mat. Maybe the knee comes down. Belly is strong. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, elbows straight back towards the ribs. Heart comes forward, chin towards the mat. Take a breath in and breath out, right back up. Release the left knee to meet the right. And then draw big toes together. Separate the knees nice and wide. And hips back towards the heels. Crawl the arms forward. Tent the fingers this time as we relax the forehead towards the floor, towards a block. Inching the fingers forward and then pressing down and forward to draw the hips back towards the heels. Keep the activity in the arms, pressing down and forward, but feel the lower body relax. Let's take one more breath in. As you breathe out, we'll come back up to a table shape. So this next pose, a puppy dog pose, if you have a shoulder injury, then whichever arm, if you have a shoulder injury, you'll bend into that elbow and bring the forearm parallel to the front of the mat. If the shoulders are pretty safe and strong, then you can take both arms forward. So the hips will stay right over the knees. We begin to walk the hands forward and release the chest towards the floor. Maybe the forehead comes down towards the mat as well. Now the arms are actively reaching and pressing at the same time. If you have space, then the chin can come down to the mat. But recognize that's an awful lot in the cervical spine, so the forehead can release to the mat. Again, arms are actively pressing. Chest is actively releasing. Tops of the feet are actively pressing. This is not a passive pose. Very active puppy pose. We're going to take 3 more inhales. 3 more exhales. And notice especially if this pose is very intense for you, if it invokes a lot of emotions, see if you can return to the fullness of the inhale and fullness of the exhale. After your final exhale, let's lift the gaze on an inhale and slowly walk the hands back in. We'll let the hips come back towards the heels, sitting on a block or on the tops of the feet. Let's let the hands rest, palms face up on the knees or the thighs. Let the eyes softly close. And then we'll just take a couple rounds of shoulder rolls. So as you inhale, shoulders come up towards the ears. As you exhale, release back behind and down. Another time, inhaling, shoulders come up. And as you exhale, release back behind and down. Last time, shoulders up. Exhale, release back behind and down. As we keep the shoulders relaxing, crown of the head, sternum lifts. And on your exhale, the eyes softly open. So from here, we're going to come up onto the knees. We can keep the blanket on our mat to support this neck shape. As we come onto the knees, hands will rest. We're going to step the left foot forward, toes in line with the block. We'll tuck the right toes under, press through the heel, wiggle the right foot back, and descend the knee down onto the earth. Then from here, we want to walk the hands back so that the wrists come underneath the shoulders. We'll sit up nice and tall and use the power of the left leg to pull the hip back and feel the right hip drag forward. We want the hips to stay square towards the front of the room. These legs are active, left hip pulling back, dragging the right hip forward, top of the foot resting, our toes tucked. And then from here, we'll bring the hands to the low back. See if we can inch the fingers in towards one another. Squeeze the elbows, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Use the hands pressing into the pelvis to lift up through the sternum, through the crown of the head. Squeeze the blades, the elbows together, and maybe sink a little lower into the front knee. If there's not a whole lot of sensation going on in that front right hip crease, add engagement of the glute, and you might feel some extra sensation. Now, the longer that we stay here, the longer the body is going to adjust. So consciously pulling left femur back, dragging right hip crease forward. Heart lifting, shoulder blades squeezing. Let's take 3 more inhales, 3 more exhales. And for this final breath in, left hand will stay where it is. Let's inhale, reach the right arm forward and up. Pinky finger in, thumb out, shoulder softening. Hips are sinking low, but legs are active. Keep squeezing the left shoulder blade in. Take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, we'll release both hands down onto the blocks. From here, begin to straighten into the left leg. We might need to slide the left heel forward, peel the toes back towards the face. Just as before, left hip pulls back, right hip slightly forward. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, begin to hinge over the front leg. We want to keep the spine long, thinking about the belly button moving towards the center of the thigh, center of the heart moving over the knee, and then the crown of the head towards the toes. The elbows are deeply bent. You can reduce the height of the blocks or move them out of the way. Each inhale lengthens sternum towards toes. Each exhale softens the torso towards the thigh. We'll take another breath in. As you breathe out, begin to straighten into the arms, coming back onto blocks to aid with our next transition, bending into the left knee, and then sliding the left knee back to meet the right. We're going to move our blocks out of the way, and then from here, we'll tuck the toes under, let's change that. Let's step the right foot back to move towards a half plank, and then step the left foot back to meet it. Press out through the heels, the belly is strong, back of the heart lifts. And as we hold here, feeling the belly strong, heart gliding forward, we breathe in. And then as you breathe out, release the knees to the mat. Notice that they're back behind the hips. That's perfect, about 45 degrees. We're going to lower all the way down onto the bellies, wrists under shoulders. We take a breath in. As you breathe out, elbows straight back. The hips will lift a little bit as we release the chest to the floor. Then untuck the toes, slide the legs back. From here, we're going to bring the forearms onto the mat. As the forearms come onto the mat, elbows are underneath shoulders, the arms are parallel, and the palms are pressing. As we press the tops of the feet into the mat, feel big toe all the way to pinky toe connect. A little lift of the pelvis so pubic bone draws up to the low ribs. Then as you press into the forearms, draw the heart forward and up. Feel the crown of the head lift and feel the shoulders soften. This is our Sphinx pose. Legs are active, arms are active. Shalamba Bhujangasana. And we breathe. And notice. Interested and curious when the mind, when the emotions are active and when they're settled. All this just information, a fascinating study of you. Let's take one more breath in. And as you breathe out, elbows will go wide. Heart releases back down. Turn the head to one side and then bend into both knees. Take the feet from side to side, a windshield wiper shape. And then turn the head in the opposite direction as you keep the feet moving. And then back through center, we'll release the feet, turn the head to center, and draw the hands back, fingers in line with the breastbone. Take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, we'll press ourselves up to a tabletop position. We'll find our blocks once again to the top of our mat. I'm going to spin around so we have the right foot stepping forward. As the hands rest, right foot steps forward, toes in line with fingers. Tuck left toes under, press through the heel, lift the thigh, and then wiggle the left foot back. Left knee will descend back down, so we're towards the top of the kneecap. And then walk the hands back, so wrists are under shoulders. Helps us to get our spine nice and long. And then with the hands on the blocks for balance, we can feel actively pressing down and forward into right big toe mound and heel to pull the right femur back, actively dragging the left hip crease forward. If balance is present, then once again we'll float the hands to the low back, bringing pinky fingers in, squeezing the shoulder blades, the elbows together. Using the hands to press into the pelvis, lift the sternum, the crown of the head, and then let the hips settle down and forward as we're pulling right femur back, left hip forward. Super active, we should feel the muscles of the legs engaging. And if there is not a lot of sensation on the front of the left hip crease, again, engage the glute. Right hip back, left hip forward, holding in our low crescent pose. Staying right here or taking an option. Right hand will stay where it is. As you inhale, left arm reaches forward and up. Pinky finger is in, thumb is out so we can soften the shoulder. We're reaching high through pinky and ring finger, softening low into the hips. Legs are engaged, heart is lifted, right elbow, shoulder blade together. Take one more breath in. And then as you breathe out, both hands release back down onto the blocks. As we inhale, we'll straighten into the right leg, slide the right heel away, and then peel the toes back towards the face. Staying upright is perfect as we feel right hip back, outer hip down, or we begin to hinge forward, folding over the front leg. As we press the heel away, peel the toes back. Hands can stay on the blocks, or again, a deep bend into the elbows. We can release the blocks to a lower height or move them out of the way. As we draw the sternum forward, shoulders away from the ears, maybe hinge a little deeper over the front leg. Just want to watch for roundness in the spine that makes us feel like we're getting closer to the leg when we want to imagine belly button and then center of the chest, and then maybe chin towards that right leg. And take one more breath in. As we breathe out, we'll straighten back into the arms, come back up onto the blocks to give the body a little space, bend into the right knee, and then slide the right knee back to meet the left. Again, blocks can be moved out of the way. And then from here, wrists under shoulders, knees underneath the hips, step the left foot back, toes tucked under, press out through the heel, belly is strong, and then step the right foot back. Again, we find ourselves in plank, pubic bone to low ribs, back of the heart lifts, and then heart just a little bit forward. Very powerful pose. You're welcome to pause this and hold here for as long as you'd like. And take a breath in, and then maybe release the knees to the mat. Again, we'll be lowering all the way down onto the belly. So bring the gaze forward, belly stays strong. We take an inhale. As we exhale, bend the elbows straight back, heart forward, past the thumbs as we release to the mat. Walk the feet back, and then feel the tops of the feet press from big toe to pinky. Again, we'll come up onto our forearms in that Sphinx pose. Elbows under shoulders, fingers spread, palms are pressing. Legs are active, belly is strong so that pubic bone is lifting. And as we press into the forearms, feel like we're drawing the arms back so we can slide the heart forward, Solemn Vaasana. Now this time, left foot's going to stay on the floor. I'm going to bend into the right foot, bring the heel up, keep the foot flexed, and just bring the gaze over. See if you can see that foot. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, release the foot back to the mat. Another inhale, lift the heart, shoulders soften, belly strong. And exhale, bend into the left knee, foot is flexed, sole of the foot up. Take an inhale, and exhale, slowly release. One more breath in, we'll lift the heart. This time, as you exhale, just for fun, bend into both knees, flexing into the foot, belly stays strong. Take an inhale, and exhale, release both feet back down. Breath in here, and breath out, elbows go wide, heart releases to the floor. Turn the head to one side, and then bend into the knees. Again, we'll take the feet from side to side, finding that gentle windshield wiper motion. Turn the head back through center, opposite direction, keep the legs going. And then as we come back to stillness, head comes to center, feet draw back, wrists, hands slide back, fingers in line with the breastbone, then press into the hands up through table, and then all the way back to child's pose. Big toes together, knees nice and wide, reaching the arms forward. Or if you need a little break in the shoulders, we can let the hands come back by the feet, palms face up as the forehead releases towards the floor. Take another inhale. As you exhale, find wrists underneath the shoulders. We'll roll up to seated on the heels just long enough to go ahead and move our blanket out of the way. And we'll have our blocks once more at the top of the mat, their highest height, body distance apart. As we come onto the knees, we'll bring the hands to the blocks and step the right foot forward. Again, toes in line with fingers, and then we're gonna check the outer thigh, make sure it's parallel with the side of the mat. Sometimes we walk it in pretty close to the midline, and that creates some issues with balance. So we start here, thigh parallel, heel in line with sit bone, and then we can tuck the left toes under, press through the heel, feel the left thigh rise. And then as we look back, make sure those back toes are forward, weights on the center of the ball of the foot. Walk the hands back so wrists are underneath shoulders. Come up onto finger pads and lift the chest. Right here, right hip back, left hip forward. If balance is present, hands can come onto the thigh. We start here, with the heart lifting, or we can reach the arms forward and up. Pinky fingers are in, thumbs are out. Right hip back, left hip forward. Legs are active, shoulders are soft, and breath is full. If balance is present, we can begin to bring the gaze up between the thumbs, challenging our balance just a bit. Keep the belly strong, right hip back, left hip forward. And again, gaze is nice and high. So this next shape, an option. Hands can come back onto the thigh to support the torso. Keep pulling right hip back, left hip forward. Just begin to hinge the torso forward. So we've got one line of energy from the heel all the way out through the crown of the head. And then from here, we're going to reach the right arm back behind. And we want the palm to be facing out. So the thumb will be up, pinky finger is down. As we reach that right hand back, draw the shoulder to the midline. Left hand can stay on the thigh, or we'll reach the left arm forward. Palm faces the midline. Again, pinky finger is down, thumb is up. We lift the bicep high, right hip back, left hip forward, reaching from finger to finger as we drive the heart forward. We'll take one more inhale. And then as you exhale, release both hands down to the blocks. From here, let's go ahead and step the left foot up to meet the right, feet at least a fist width distance apart. Hands can stay on the blocks, or we release the fingertips down towards the mat. Shifting the weight forward, soft bend or deep bend into the knees. Let the belly and the chest connect to the thighs. Let the head hang heavy. Take a gentle sigh. In our Uttanasana, breath in, open the mouth and then keeping a soft bend into the knees, engagement in the belly. As you inhale, roll up to standing, hands walking up the thighs, always a nice option to support the low back. And then once we come up, we'll draw the shoulders up towards the ears. As you exhale, release back behind and down. From here, we'll interlace the hands in front of the heart. On a breath in, press the palms forward towards the front of the room, and then up overhead. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. As we reach up through the palms, we take an inhale. As you exhale, move your hips to the left, hands up and over to the right. Squeeze the biceps in there, nice and active. Belly stays strong. As you inhale, we'll come back through center. And as you exhale, hips to the right, hands up and over to the left. Legs are strong, belly is strong, palms pressing, arms squeezing. Inhale, come back through center. And as you exhale, release the hands back in front of the heart. From here, bring the hands to the low back. Pinky fingers in, thumbs out. We took this shape with the upper body when we were in our low crescent pose. So as the palms press, sternum lifts, crown of the head lifts, squeeze the elbows, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then a gentle press of the hip creases forward towards the front of the room. Use the hands to lift up through the rib cage. The gaze can come up towards the ceiling, link through all four sides of the neck. Let's take another inhale. As you exhale, belly to spine, we come back through center. Relax the arms down by the sides. Then bring hands together in front of the heart. As you inhale, arms will sweep out to the side and up. And as you exhale, we'll swan dive forward. Hips go back, heart goes forward. Put a deep bend into the knee so the hands can come all the way to the floor. And then we'll step the feet back. Come into downward facing dog. This is the first time we've been in this pose. So a deep bend into the knees so we can press down and forward into the hands. Really draw the belly and the chest back towards the thighs. Feel the biceps rotate up. Triceps are down towards the mat. Outer upper armpit flesh is rolling in towards the face. Upper armpit flesh is rolling up towards the ceiling. If we can keep the arms engaged, spine long, then we can begin to straighten into the legs, releasing the heels a little or a lot to the floor. Let's take one more breath in Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then as you exhale, release the knees to the mat. As we come back onto the mat, we'll find our blocks, top of our mat. Again, I'm going to switch around so my left foot will be on the outside, hands on the blocks. Step left foot forward, toes in line with fingers, and again, we're checking that thigh parallel to the side of the mat. Tuck right toes under, press through the heel, right thigh rises. And then as we wiggle the foot back, we want left knee directly over the ankle. Walk the blocks back, wrists under shoulders, up onto finger pads so the chest lifts. And right here, left hip back, right hip forward, legs are active. We stay here, or we bring hands to the thigh, sitting up nice and tall. Left hip back, right hip forward, strong belly. This is perfect. Or we reach the arms forward and up. If we're having a little issue with balance, then we can just walk the left foot over to the left side of the mat. Keep pressing through the right heel. Keep drawing the left hip back, right hip forward, belly nice and strong. Reaching through pinky fingers and through the ring finger. And we feel the strength of the legs, strength of the breath. We notice what arises in the mind and come back to our inhales and exhales. And again, this next experience can be taken with the hands on the thigh to support the torso as we draw the heart forward. Left hip back, right hip forward. Then the left hand this time will reach back. Palm faces away from the body. Thumb is up, pinky finger is down. And we're reaching through the left fingers. Right hand can stay on the thigh or reaches forward. Palm facing the midline, but pinky finger slightly lifted. We reach through fingers, left hip back, right hip forward. Belly is strong, legs are strong. One more breath in to reach, and then as you exhale, release the hands to the blocks. Once again, we'll step the back foot up to meet the front. This time, step the feet wide and bring hands to opposite elbows. Deep bend or soft bend into the knees, chin to chest. Maybe a gentle sway from side to side. Then we'll come back to stillness here at center. Release the bind of the elbows, and as you inhale, a slow rise. Hands supporting the body perhaps as we come all the way up to standing. Heel toe the feet in towards one another. And bring hands together in front of the heart space. Close the eyes and a gentle sigh, breath in. Open the mouth and so this next shape is one that oftentimes helps to highlight dukkha, our suffering. So again, coming back to our intention, our notion, each one of these emotions, each one of these thoughts, an opportunity to learn, but perhaps right now, in the midst, isn't the time to do it. So we acknowledge, recognize we might want to revisit, and then come back to the movement of the breath. On your next exhale, eyes will softly open. We're going to check our feet about a fist width distance apart. Sides of the feet will be parallel. And we'll bring the hands onto the hips. We'll spin the elbows, the shoulder blades together and bring the gaze forward. We want to find something to focus on with the eyes, our drishti. With a softness in the knees, engagement in the belly, begin to shift the weight into the right foot and come on to the left tip toes. Just going to feel for balance here. Release the left hand down the thigh. That same shape we took when we were reaching back is what we're going for in the left arm. So the thumb is back, palm faces out. Pinky fingers right now are towards the front of the room. Now flex into the left foot, draw the heel in towards the seat, and without changing the shape of the arm, just slide it to the inner edge of the foot. Then from here, we keep the hand on the inner edge of the foot, draw the knees in towards one another. We'll reach the right arm high. Pinky finger is in, thumb is out. Press down through the right, reach up through the right fingers. And then from here, we begin to kick the left foot back. We keep the heart lifted straight up as long as we can and begin to feel the movement of the leg, creating the arch in the back. Feel right hip pull back, left outer hip comes forward, and kicking through the left foot. Continue to breathe If we fall out, which is inevitable for all of us, we can come back in or stand in Tadasana. Let's take one more breath in. And then as we breathe out, release the left foot back down to the mat. Release the arms down by the sides. A gentle sigh as we breathe in. Open the mouth and then with hands back in front of the heart, an acknowledgement of thought, of emotion, recognition that we have the opportunity to investigate later, see what they have to teach us about our ways of being. And take another inhale. As you exhale, the eyes softly open. So we'll prepare Natarajasana on the second side. Again, feet about a fist width distance apart. Sides of the feet will be parallel with the sides of the mat. The hands come onto the hips. We spin the elbows, the shoulder blades together. Belly is strong, a gentle tuck under of the tailbone. And then with our drishti locked on something that's not going to move, begin to shift the weight into the left foot. Come on to the right tip toes. Then the right hand will release. Palm is facing out, pinky finger towards the front of the room, thumb is back. And left arm will reach high, pinky finger in, thumb out. As we flex into the right foot, we draw the heel in towards the seat, knees in towards one another. Without changing the direction of the hand, just reach the arm back, slide it in towards the big toe side of the foot, and then draw the knees together. As we press down through the left foot, reach up through the left fingers, belly is strong. And then as we pull the left hip back, begin to kick into the right foot. Notice that the right leg will like to move out. Can you draw the knees back in? Left hip back, right hip forward, and kick. Keep the heart lifted as much as we can. And then notice, especially if the body, if the balance, if the person's voice who's talking right now, super annoying or less than what you'd want, acknowledge, and then come back to the breath. Take one more breath in, and then as we breathe out, release the foot, release the arms, close the eyes, and again an audible exhale, breath in, open the mouth, and from here, hands come together in front of the heart space. And your option, roll down into Uttanasana, or I'll guide us through half Surya Namaskar. Knees are soft, belly is strong. Inhale, arms sweep out to the side and up. And as you exhale, swan dive forward. Then once we come into our Uttanasana shape, again, a deep enough bend into the knees so the hands can come to the floor. We're going to step back one more time into downward facing dog. So hands plant, wrist, shoulder distance apart. Step one foot back and then the other. Deep bend into the knees to get length through the spine. And then maybe soften the heels towards the mat. Let's take one more full inhale. And then as you exhale, release both knees down onto the mat. So as we come onto our mat, we'll prepare for a forward fold shape. And this particular shape will ask a lot of the body. So if we know that there's tightness in the hips or the hamstrings, then it's helpful to have a blanket that we can sit up on a clean folded edge. Also for this shape, it'll be helpful to have a block handy. So as we come upright, we'll just make sure that the pelvic bowl is rotating forward and down so the spine can be long. We're going to keep the right foot extended forward, bend into the left knee in a figure four shape. So we'll take the shin above the right kneecap, left foot will be flexed. This is where the block is helpful, especially if we're on height, then we can let the block rest underneath the knee or the thigh. For some of us, this is going to be the extent of our forward fold. There's already sensation in the back of the thigh or even moving into the low back. If we have the space where we can keep the heart lifted and the shoulder blades together, the feet flex, then we begin to hinge at the hips, imagining the belly button coming all the way to the calf muscle. For most everybody, that will never happen. And then the hands can walk forward to support the torso. Keep drawing the shoulder blades away from the ears. And then the rib cage might begin to release down towards the shin. This head stays neutral, neck stays neutral. Feet stay engaged. As we press out through the right heel, through the ball of the foot, keep the left foot engaged. And as you notice, if you have some extra space, we can begin to release the block and release a little deeper into this forward fold. Take one more breath in. And then as you breathe out, slowly draw the torso high. The sole of the left foot will either step inside of the leg or can step outside of the leg, as long as we can get the entirety of the foot to the floor. Then from here, we'll release the left hand behind the back, moving the wrist in line with the sacrum, palm planted or fingers tented. We'll inhale the right arm high. Press down through the left hand, reach up through the right. Both legs are engaged, and then as you exhale, peel open towards the bent knee. When the torso stops moving, elbow can slide outside of the knee or can clasp the knee. And then as we inhale, the heart lifts, and as we exhale, we turn. Option to bring the chin over the left shoulder or to take a counter twist in the cervical spine. The gaze would come back over the right. Both are perfect. We just let the eyes close. And then as we're here, each inhale, heart lifts. Each exhale, feel the ribs, the shoulders turn open. And maybe the chin tracks as well. Let's take one more breath in. And as you breathe out, we'll unwind. Come back through center. Extend both legs long. Give them a little wiggle, a little jiggle. Then this time the left leg will stay extended. Bend into the right knee. Then we'll cross that right shin over the thigh. And just as we took the first side, it's helpful to have a block at any one of the height underneath the knee or the thigh. Both feet are flexed. Pelvic bowl is forward and down, and the heart is lifted. Keeping that length through the spine, we can stay here, or we begin to hinge forward. Again, imagining the belly button moving towards the calf muscle, chest towards the shin. We keep the spine long, shoulders moving away from the ears, hands just move forward to support the body. As soon as we feel the shoulders start to round, draw the shoulders away from the ears, maybe back out of the fold, and then hinge a little deeper. And close the eyes and breathe. Acknowledging sensation in the physical body. Acknowledging emotional sensation as well. And then returning to the breath. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, we come back up through center. Again, the right foot can come to the floor outside of the leg as long as we can bring the entirety of the foot to the mat, or it can step inside the leg about a fist width distance apart. The heel will be in alignment with the sit bone. Then whichever version we're choosing, the right hand will come behind the back, wrist about in line with sacrum. Inhale, reach the left arm high, and then as you exhale, we peel open towards the bent knee, elbow outside, or we clasp the leg. Inhale, we lift, and exhale, we turn. Right foot is pressing, left toes back towards the face. Chin over the right shoulder or back over the left. But the action with the breath is the same. Each inhale a lift, each exhale a turn. And then we'll close the eyes and breathe. Taking one more deep breath in, and then as you exhale, we'll unwind, uncross the legs, both legs long, pop the knees, roll the ankles, and then we'll slide off of our blanket. From the center of the mat, we'll prepare for Shavasana. So if you have some sensitivity in the low back, highly recommend rolling the blanket like we did at the beginning of our practice, but rather than under the shoulders, this can be placed underneath the knees. Those of us that have a little more sensitivity, we can take our blocks end to end, giving ourselves a little bit more height and stacking the blanket roll on top. And then as the feet flip over, we're going to roll onto our backs. Hands can come to the thighs, hands behind us for support, or an engaged variation, palms are up, belly is strong, and a slow roll all the way down onto the back. And once we come down, head releases to the mat. Let's draw both knees in. Wrap the arms around the shins. Give yourself a hug, gratitude, a little appreciation for coming to your mat to practice today. And then as you're ready, we'll release the feet to the floor. Backs the knees are a little higher, backs the thighs on that support if we're taking it. We just want to all make sure that the low back is lengthening, not lifting. If it is, lift the pelvis, a gentle tuck, and a release back down. Option to have hands down by the sides, right hand to belly, left hand to heart, or any other shape that works for you. And then the eyes will softly close. We take just a moment to scan the physical body, moving to make adjustments to be comfortable. And then we take that same scan for the emotional body. Noticing how we're feeling after an hour of movement and concentration, breath. And then we let the information about the physical and the mental, the emotional bodies recede into the background of the mind as we let our attention rest on the movement of the breath. And we feel belly, ribs, and chest rise and expand on the inhale. And feel that brief pause, and then feel the chest, the ribs, the belly descend on the exhale. Feel the brief pause and the breath begins again. And particularly if the mind is very active, we stay connected to the breath. And if it's not very active, there's nothing left for us to do but simply be and receive Shavasana. Of course, you're welcome to stay and take as long as you need in Shavasana. And if you're ready to move and end your practice for today, begin to draw your attention back to the breath. Feeling the rising, the falling of the belly and the chest. Begin to find some movement of fingers and toes, wiggling and stretching. Wrists and ankles roll, head rocks from side to side. If it feels okay, let's extend the arms up overhead, reaching from fingertip to toe tip, a full body stretch. And then as you exhale, bend into the knees, draw them in close to the heart, wrap the arms around the shins, a generous hug. As we roll over to the right side, pause to rest in a fetal position, taking just a moment, again, in gratitude and appreciation for the time that you take for your practice. Not just the movement of the physical body, but an acknowledgement of what arises in the mind and in the emotions. And then from there, let's bring the palms to the earth. Gently press yourselves up and around. We'll come to find an easy, a comfortable way to sit, taking some height, some support underneath the seat to allow the spine to lengthen and the eyes to softly close. And then one more time from Rumi, someone I don't often quote, but this is a goodie. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Well, as we bring hands together in front of the heart, I thank you for joining me in your practice today. It's an honor, it's a privilege to guide you through your practice. You allow the eyes to softly open. Namaste.